I want to talk to you about Jeffrey Epstein. First of all, do you know him?
Do not.
Okay.
I don't hang.
It seems
I don't hang
everybody
in those circles. Yeah. I mean, look.
No, I know that.
I had dinner with a guy last night who's a friend of his, and I didn't know that. I mean, I was talking to this guy about other things. He's a political player, but this guy, he ran in a lot of circles that merge entertainment with politics. There's a guy named Ron Burkle out in Los Angeles. He does that. They basically are very wealthy people with a fleet of private jets. They ferry people around the world for various reasons. I am, as you know, a guy who doesn't comment unless I really know what happened. But I can tell you this. They have so much on this guy, they being the feds in Manhattan, in the lower Manhattan, the Southern District. You know, he's looking at probably 15 to 20, and they'll get him.
I will tell you, Bill, he'll die in prison, I bet, if it's at that point. I will tell you, being in Manhattan this week, everyone is talking about it in the upper circles. Everybody is talking about it.
Yeah, they're trying to link politicians into him. I did look at that vis-a-vis President Trump. I talked to an attorney in southern Florida who is very conversant with the victims down there coming forth. Mm-hmm. Now, there is a court filing on the record that says that Trump in the early 2000s expelled Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. That's on the record.
I have to tell you, Bill, I think that Donald Trump not only is looking good in this because of that, he immediately expelled Epstein from his club when he found out he had preyed on on a woman, a teenager,
right?
And immediately expelled. They're trying to tie it into him, but I think there's a strong possibility, even though he's been with Epstein before, that he is clean on this. I'm going to go a step further. I would love to hear your opinion on that. This may have actually kind of been pushed by Donald Trump in some way, because they say what is his name, Acosta, is pardoned him. Did you see what the reporter actually said? That's not getting a lot of play. The reporter said, the one who started this and been following it since the early 2000s.
This is the Miami Herald reporter?
Yes, and she came out this week, and she said what people really need to understand is he was asked about this by the Trump campaign. How did you give this sweetheart deal? And and he said that it was because he was told by the politically elite above him that to leave it alone, the guy was an intelligence operative. Now, I don't believe that he was an intelligence operative.
Yeah, I can't comment on any of that because I haven't been able to confirm it, and I'm not really working the story hard. Not that I just have other things to do. But I think that in America, it is true if you are a billionaire, you can spread money around and get lenient treatment in our criminal justice system. I believe that's true. I believe that people who make that accusation are accurate. I've seen it myself, and it's very bad. And if anything comes out,
they are looking the division that is working with the FBI on this, and the Southern New York officials is the corruption division.
Yes,
that's it's not just it's right.
That's a very good observation, Beck. It's not the rank and file prosecutors. It's
not the sex crimes division only.
Right. It's public integrity. So I don't think there's any doubt that you're going to see more on this story, and that it may have a chilling impact on the Democratic Party, because it seems that they were far more involved with Epstein than the Republican Party. However, that's speculation.
So now let me ask you this. Doesn't this show a pattern of the Democrats that they're going to start to have a hard time if this comes out and there are big Democrats involved in this? Aren't they going to have a hard time with the Me Too movement, seeing that one of their big donors was Harvey Weinstein and everyone knew about him? And the other one on this coast was Jeffrey Epstein. And everyone, they called his plane the Lolita Express. Everyone knew it. And they still took money and invited him and tolerated him. What does that say about the...
Well, there's a division, okay? And there always has been a division. So there are sincere people who believe that American society tolerates behavior that it shouldn't. And they have a right to go out and make their case in the strongest possible way. But there are other people who use these cases for political reasons and witch hunt it. And we saw that with Kavanaugh. That is the most dangerous example that I can give anyone of how you take an injustice and then compound it 100 times by a far larger injustice. It's a new book out by Molly Hemingway that gets into Dr. Ford. I didn't check out Hemingway's research, so I'm not going to repeat it. But I said from the very beginning, this was a witch hunt that almost destroyed Kavanaugh and his family. Kamala Harris drove it. Cory Booker drove it. The New York Times drove it. So they used a legitimate issue, okay, and they spun it around to destroy political opponents. So that this is a very complicated issue that Americans should think about very seriously. When I see this Kamala Harris, and I see what she did in that Kavanaugh hearing, okay, I could never vote for her for anything, ever. This is a dangerous woman.
So let's change this subject slightly and talk about what we should be talking about. We should be looking for the predators, but the injustice of these women. I've had people come and say, "Well, I don't know if I believe it." I mean, why wouldn't they come out and say it? Oh, I don't know. The guy was friends with everyone. He was a billionaire. Everyone. You think they're going to believe you over the voice of a former president who's like, "No, Jeffrey's a good guy"? They're not going to believe you, and so this hurts. By not exposing this and not going all the way on this hurts anyone who has been a victim of sexual abuse, because it just reinforces they're not going to believe you.
Well,
it's horrible.
The federal government, if they did indeed botch the original case in Florida, as the Miami Herald contends, and it looks like the evidence, Acosta
is pretty
is
overwhelming.
Out. Yeah, Acosta is out. All right, so it looks like that happened. The federal government is trying to right that wrong now, and that's a good thing. But if you know history, you know that powerful people in politics and entertainment particularly have gotten away with an unbelievable stuff. Because they have the money and the access to do whatever they wanted to do. I think
the question is, that I was going to say, that's the real question. Is this
and I
going
think it's coming to an end now, and that's a good thing.
I think that's great. That's a very good thing. Thank you. All right, back in just a second with more. Let me change because you were just overseas, and I think you went to Germany. Were you over in England at all?
No, I was not in England. I went to Germany and Austria, combination business pleasure, and I wrote a brilliant column, and I hope you read it, called "The Plan."
Oh my gosh, did I ever?
Okay,
I've read it.
And while I was in Germany, I had very high-level meetings. I love those high-level meetings. And I did a very astute analysis of the tax system there, which is what the Democratic Party wants here. But they won't tell you.
Wish you weren't. I really wish you weren't as humble as you are.
I have to say these things. I'm like Trump in that regard, to get your attention back, because you're old and you drift away. You drift away.
Yeah,
I get you back. All right.
That's right. Okay, so what was the point of this beautifully wonderful, best written piece of all time? What was the point of it again?
Okay, I'm in Munich, Germany, and Munich could be in any state, USA, minus the language in the old buildings. People live exactly the same in there as we live in the United States. They have a BMW. They live in small homes or apartments, not expansive like some people live here, but they go to work. They work hard. They're industrious. And after their weekly paycheck, they have no money left over. Nothing. Okay? The government takes everything. They keep them in beer and cigarettes. You can have your little wine. You can have your BMW. You can have your little lederhosen, whatever you want, but you can't have anything left over to put in the bank and invest. And that makes it impossible for German workers to improve their status. So your son and grandson is going to be the same as you, all right, because the government takes it all. And I break it down so that even Stu could understand it. I mean, it was amazing to me. And I hired a guide who was like furious about this. And of course, the underground economy, cash that they don't declare, is all over Germany, all over it.
So, what's weird, Bill, is, you started out, I was listening, you started out saying, this is the same thing that's happening here in America. I don't know if you saw the Washington Post story from David Montgomery on AOC's chief of change. And he's talking about a meeting between her chief of staff and Sam Ricketts.
Guy? Is this the millionaire Texas guy? Okay, that's behind her. By
this
the
is
way. Okay.
Right, but this is what's his name, Saikat Chakrabarti, who is her sugar daddy when it comes to politics.
Right.
He is chief of staff. He helped her get elected, et cetera, et cetera. He was meeting with the climate director for the Washington governor, Jay Inslee, and it's a article about their conversation, and it is amazing. Chakrabarti had an unexpected disclosure. He said, the interesting thing about the new Green Deal, this a quote, it wasn't originally a climate thing at all. Ricketts greeted the startling notion with an attended poker face. Did you guys think of it as a climate thing? Because we really think of it as a how you change the entire economy thing. And it goes into how they are talking, and it's I don't know if this is written as a bad thing or not. It's the Washington Post, but it's horrifying where they're just talking about, we cloaked it as a climate thing, but it really has nothing to do with that. And Inslee's people say, well, I know, and it's good because it included the climate, which we have to do, but this whole system needs to be destroyed. We need to end the free market. And it's amazing how open they are.
Just this week, France passed a tax on anyone flying out of that country. Got to pay 18 euros, which is about $25, just to leave on a plane. All right? And they say this is the environmental tax. Now, you look at France and you go, this isn't going to do anything for the environment at all, anywhere. This is just another sneaky way to take as much money as you can from anybody on your soil. So that's what's happening here.
Okay, we're going to continue with Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. He's got a great book coming out this fall about Donald Trump. You want to pre-order it right now, just go to the Bill O'Reilly page at Amazon.com and order it now. BillO'Reilly.com is also where you will find his daily rant, and his happy corner. It's quite a happy place. BillO'Reilly.com. Welcome to the program, Mr. Bill O'Reilly. By the way, Bill, it's nice of you. I'm sure I'm going to see you tonight at Carnegie Hall, where my daughter is performing.
Very, very nice. Very impressive. I hope she does well. I'm out here in eastern Long Island staring at the ocean right
which is
now.
only
But if I were closer,
yes.
I would certainly come in.
It's not like I'm asking you to come across the country. I mean, she's performing now. When I say she's performing, she was kind enough not to say. She said, "Please don't put my name even in the title." In fact, tuck me into the back. Of one of in one of just any row of this giant choir. So she doesn't. She didn't want to stick out. So you probably
listen. If you haven't been to Carnegie Hall, the listeners haven't been there. It's probably the most iconic concert hall in the country, and so anybody performing there will remember that the rest of their life.
Yeah. I just thought, as a friend, you should be there. But
and Beck, if you had invited me earlier, I certainly would have gone. But you did.
Oh, I know.
You're too busy.
I know.
I'm like an afterthought on Fridays. No heads up.
That's fine.
Like that. Mm-hmm.
No big deal. There's 2 performances tomorrow as well. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about Iran. What the hell is happening with Iran? Do they want war?
No, I don't think they want war, but they're trying to. This is called, saber rattling, wag the dog. There was a movie called Wag the Dog with Dustin Hoffman. Mm-hmm. Their economy is so bad, and the people are so restive that the mullahs are really frightened they're going to be overthrown. And the only way they see that they can keep their power is to, inflame some kind of conflict with America and the West and Israel, so that the Iranian people, the Persian people say, oh, yeah, they're the bad guys and they're the fault. That's why we have a terrible economy. It's them. This is what it is. And so, to me, the Iranians are going to go up to a line and they'll stop. But if they don't stop, I can guarantee you that Donald Trump will launch some bombings in that country and, put a hurt on them pretty quickly.
Yeah, the press is trying to make Donald Trump into a warmonger. He's been against every war that we have fought in the Middle East, I think, forever. He is not the guy who wants war.
Biden is trying to use this. Keep your eye on Biden. Biden is a really interesting guy. They're setting the radical left, which despises Biden, wants him out of the race. They're setting Biden up to be a racist. All right, they did it again this week. That Biden doesn't like blacks, and his voting record in the Senate was anti-black. You're going to see that thrown at him in the next debate. But Biden, to counter, is basically saying, I'm the smart guy on foreign policy. I'd get back into the Paris Peace Accords on global warming, and I would get back to negotiating with the Iranians and get everything back calmed down like we had it under the Obama administration. That's where Biden...
And that's why the left... Right, and that's why the left doesn't like him, because they really are a burn it to the ground, let's start our final, socialist state. And they don't see him as an agent of change. They see him... like a Macron, where it's just going to be more of the same.
And that's who Biden is. Biden doesn't want to burn the system down. The system gave Biden $15 million in the last 2 years. And Biden, I used to track Biden's charitable givings, which were nothing. In 2016, he and his wife gave $5,000 to charity. I mean, it's ridiculous. But as soon as he figured out he might want to run again, then he gave $1 million. The next year in 17, he kicked $1 million at charity. Come on, Joe, you're trying to figure. But anyway, Biden doesn't want to burn the system down because Biden has exploited the system to the nth degree. However, Biden is going to come now as the statesman, and I can make the world like America again, and I can deal with the mullahs, and I can deal with climate change and all this. So that's where he's going.
Well, I have to tell you, I think if they don't go with Biden, they don't really have a chance.
No, I agree.
And if they do go with Biden, I don't think they have a chance, only because I don't think the left is going to rally around Joe Biden.
I disagree on the latter. I think that a bargain is going to be made fairly early that it's going to be Biden-Harris ticket, okay? And then Biden is going to tell the chieftains of the Democratic Party, I'm only going to do one term. And you're going to get Kamala. Okay? That's what I think is going to happen. Now, they'll never admit it. You'll never see it. But I am almost positive that's how it's going to
that makes
shape.
sense.
Okay?
That makes sense.
So Kamala gets the second, and then Biden is going to do one term and then go back to Biden land, which is in Delaware.
So help me out on how this is. Help me out on how this is going to play out, though. Right now it is out and out war with AOC and Nancy Pelosi.
But it's not, because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has no power at all. None. Zero. She can't do anything other than get media attention. Okay? I mean, if you think that she has power, then you think Whoopi Goldberg has power. It's the same thing. Cortez will be on The View within 5 years. I can guarantee it.
Yes, true.
All right?
Yes, true.
So she has no power.
However, she
None.
is a cultural icon right now with many on the left.
So what? Nancy Pelosi
culture leads politics. You know that. Culture leads politics.
Beck, you're out of your mind. This is so ridiculous. This whole thing is contrived. Nancy Pelosi has all the power in the House of Representatives because she says to the Democrats, unless you vote the way I want you to, we're not going to give you any money to run for re-election. You got to run every 2 years. So 90% of the Democrats say, yeah, Nancy, I need your money. I'll do anything you want. Anything. That's how it's run. There are 4 that don't need her money. Ocasio-Cortez doesn't need a dime from the Democratic infrastructure because Hollywood and the far-left loons will fund her. And the other 3, Omar, whatever their names, the Muslim ladies, they don't need her. So that they can say whatever they want, all right? But they don't have any
I agree
power.
with you. Wait, Bill. I agree with you on all of this. But you're out of your mind if you don't think that they are a cultural icon now for the uber left, and especially those under 30. This is culture.
That's a sliver of the American people. They can't look. When Ocasio-Cortez says that we have concentration camps on the southern border, while I'm standing in the middle of Dachau, okay, Americans know this is insane. Now, is there a cadre of people that follow what she says and believe it? Yes, but it's maybe 2%. She has no power. She's not going to ever do anything in the American government. She's just there to promote herself, like Megan Rapinoe. They're the same person, okay?
Yeah.
And she'll be gone. So what Pelosi does is give her power. Pelosi's bestowing power on her by engaging. Just ignore her. Who cares what she votes? She's a nut, all right? She's insane. And the press, of course, loves it.
So let me go back to this Washington Post article. They talk about the Ocasio-Cortez's guy and Ricketts, who is, with Inslee. And they talk about, I like to show my cards and see the people reactions. I wanted to get a sense of where they're coming from. They seem open and hungry and want to do stuff. He's talking about people. In my mind, an ideal situation is we have a president surrounded by a bunch of people who are constantly thinking we could go bigger, bolder, faster. I don't know if Inslee's going to be president, which he's not, but if he runs a really good campaign, maybe he ends up running a big agency with the mindset he's going to bring something big. He said, we've got a completely different theory of change, which is you do the biggest, most badass thing you possibly can, and that will excite people, and then they're going to vote. Because the reality is, our problem isn't that more people are voting Republican than Democrat. Our problem is most people who would vote Democrat aren't voting because they don't have a vision for America. So their idea is People are getting primed for change on both sides, and I believe this to be true. They're being primed that this system doesn't work and we've got to change. Now, I would say we've got to reset back to our Constitution, et cetera, et cetera. But others will say, no, we're going to, you know what, we're going to do clean jobs, and we're going to have this big, big vision. And a lot of people, because it will be culturally acceptable, will go in that direction. And that's the power of AOC.
If the media didn't prop her up, she wouldn't have anything. Jay Inslee is polling at 0.7%.
Zero.
He won't even get
agree.
over 1%. The American public, by and large, do not want radical people in power. That's not going to change anytime soon. Okay? So they can huff and puff and blow the house down, but it's not going to matter. This is a totally media-driven phenomenon, this Ocasio-Cortez. 100%. All right? Her district, if you go to her district, I mean, she's got 16,000 votes. It's crazy. But there is the danger if Americans, good people, bail out of the system, all right, and then go to their machines of which they're addicted, and did spend their whole life on their computers and their smartphones, then incrementally this will take on a threat. But
Correct.
It's not
Correct.
there now.
Okay, real quick, I just want to ask you this. You know, we had the ambassador of Great Britain say horrible things about Donald Trump, and then he quit, which he should have. You know, an ambassador needs to be a diplomat. But when you're looking at the future and it looks like Boris Johnson may be the next prime minister, Boris Johnson could be Donald Trump's Margaret Thatcher. I think they'd make a good team together.
I don't know if you want to word it that way, but all I know is there will be many discussions about hair, okay, between Trump and Boris. There's going to be a lot of hair stuff going on.
There'd be a lot of, yes. Okay.
Yeah, they're both blonde.
Okay.
It's both kind of out of control. It's going a lot of different directions.
All right.
So they have a lot of...
Okay, well, that's an analysis that you would only get from Bill O'Reilly, the analysis that you would never expect. Bill O'Reilly, thank you so much.
All right, always a pleasure, guys.